Let's start with Liam.
Thank you, everyone. How is everyone doing tonight?
Great, thank you.
Good. All right, let me just put on my timer so you guys don't have to use the long cane to pull me off. Because once I get talking, I can talk your ears off. All right. So I've learned a lot living with autism, and I have benefited a lot from people that have gone before me. So one of the things that I have learned is you have to be able to recognize what a goal is, and you have to be able to recognize what is a long-term goal versus a short-term goal. Now, within these goals, you have to be able to keep in perspective over a long period of time what is a positive or a win versus a lose or setback. Socially, I've had some setbacks. I ended up graduating from high school from Summit View. That's a school that is connected to the health group. So in about third grade, I was in a special needs classroom in a regular school, and my teacher was able to stand up in front of the school board and told them that my intellect was higher than the other students, but my reading ability was down here. So, and well, that meant that I had a choice. This is where I'm talking about long goals versus short goals. The short goal would have been, if I would have stayed at that school, I would have had more friends. However, long-term wise, I probably would not have graduated, and I would not have gotten the education that I ended up getting because I chose to go to Summit View. Now, in my lifetime, I've gone through parts where I've ended up having almost zero friends, and other times I've had too many friends and I did not know how to deal with all the time restraints. But long-term goal, especially if you, let's say, at some point want to move out of your parents' house, maybe have a family at some point, well, you got to be able to set up these goals to, to keep your mind focused on these goals. So, I made the choice of going to Summit View. That socially set me back. However, academically speaking, that was a win. That was a win that I didn't see at the time, but I knew that I needed to graduate high school. So at 4th grade to about 12th grade, I really didn't have many friends. I was able to get a lot of education, but still, the difference between being an adult and being a child is adults are able to see the long goal. And so if you want to become a successful adult, you got to see the long goal. For instance, instead of going out and blowing all your Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa money or your bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah money on video games, you might want to play, maybe spend it on one game and then maybe get a couple of good books that will help you in your education career. And that will allow you to get closer to your goal. So it's very important. And always make sure to make a good communication pathway with your professors and teachers. this will help you get to your access to the education. Because if you want to be, a class clown, well, it's going to be harder for you to get the education from the professor. Because professors and teachers are humans too, and you don't want to make them mad. And if you make them mad, well, when you make people mad, they might not be at their best and openness to teach you and to help you out. So you always want to try to focus on the long-term goal. For instance, who here wants to learn how to drive at some point? Okay, so that means you got to listen to your parents. It means you got to get good grades in school. I know, I see you rolling your eyes, but I'm telling you the truth, okay? Some mistakes too. I had this one movie project that I was working on. I hired these two brothers and I gave them too many chances, and they taught me a valuable lesson. And what I mean by lesson, I lost a lot of resources over hiring those two brothers. So that's another thing. Sometimes when someone says they'll help you, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will actually help you. Now, listen to your parents and listen to your professors and teachers, because they will legitimately help you. Someone in the class that tells you they'll help you, well, they'll only help you or be able to help you to a certain end, because they also are looking after themselves. Unless you're able to find those gold friends. Now, gold friends are the friends that will be with you through thick and thin. And that's another thing when it comes to being able to understand where the successes and where the pitfalls are. Going back to the title, which is wins versus losses. And so I have learned the hard way, and I'm telling you, it's better to listen to your parents, because learning the hard way hurts. Yeah. And if you do decide to learn the hard way, well, you might end up paying for the hard lesson, So, I mean, because of these two brothers, a long-term friend of mine, me and him were on the outs for a while, because these two people told them things out of context that made me look like a villain. I was finally able to clear everything up, make amends to my friend, but those two brothers, if they ever call me up asking for help, I probably won't be willing to help them. But that's one of the parts about growing up and becoming an adult. You have to be able to identify who can help you and who will help you, and who will help you without, putting their hand inside your wallet. There can be a lot of good benefits to being good in school. For instance, the more A's you have in school, the easier it will be for you to get into college. And college is really like good grades. And with good grades, you'll be able to have an easier time in college. The other thing about long-term versus short-term goals is sometimes has anyone ever gone to a friend's party? Okay. I've had opportunities to go to a party, and I've had opportunities to go on a date with a lady. Now, when it comes to the long-term versus the short-term goals, most of those dates that I've gone on have ended up to be a waste of my time. And so long-term wise, it was better to spend that money hanging out with my friends. No, it's best to focus on your studies at this point. Let me guess, some of you are maybe 15 years old, right? Almost? Okay. Yeah, just like I said, focus on your studies. Are you two going to be going into, are you in middle school or? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just enjoy your time. You will, as bad as you don't want to hear this, you will have your time to be an adult. You're only a child and you only have the protection of your parents for a limited amount of time. You will have the rest of your life to make any mistakes. I've learned that the hard way. So it's best to get as much education as you can right now. All right, let's see. Any questions so far? All right. I did. Oh, yes.
So with all of that, do you have a girlfriend? Or are you still working on it?
Oh, still working on it. I've had, I did meet some ladies and once or twice, and I was able to establish a friendship with them. And those friendships, some of them went their course, and they were short, but it was heartwarming to have those experiences. And others turned in to be just better off as friends.
So do you have advice on how to meet people and how to get into relationships?
Well, I would say is make sure you're doing something that you can feel good about. For instance, it's good. Sometimes it's good to meet a person to date through a friend. But you know, you always want to try to find someone that you have maybe at least 3 shared interests. I mean, that's not a, you know, that's not a hard thing to stick to, but you want to, my point with, you know, you don't necessarily need to have 3 shared interests, but you want to have more in common than just one thing. Like if you meet, I met one girl, she liked baseball. Well, I did not like baseball, but I was able to observe why she liked baseball, and she liked baseball because she had a fun, emotional connection with it, because that's what she and her father did in bonding. They watched baseball. And so if you like comic books, if you like puzzles, if you like video games, try to find someone that shares your interests. But very important to try to find people that challenge you and that push you. You want, because it's one thing to have friends that can only be there for you when you're having a good time. It's better to have those friends that can be with you when you're going through a rough patch. Alright, I think I have like 2 more minutes or something like that. Yes?
You mentioned before that there was a time when you had too many friends.
Yes.
And then you went to Summit View and you didn't have any friends there.
Right.
Were you not able to make friends at Summit View for some reason, or?
Well, no, well, Summit View was in the valley and I lived on the west side, and so the friends that I did make, they were more like friends at school, and I really couldn't spend time with them outside of school.
And then when you had too many friends, where did you meet those friends?
That was before I went to Summit View.
Oh, at school, like your other school.
Yeah. And I've met a couple of friends through FACT, that's the organization that I'm here through. Same with Dominique, Monique, and Evan. So.
And one more question.
Yeah.
What's your profession? What do you do for a living?
Well,
You hired some people, so you must own a business or something?
Well, right now I'm a student, but I do sock away, what little money comes to me, and, yeah, so, like, it wasn't a lot of money that they were gonna be getting paid, but it was the idea that they and I, once the project was finished, we were all going to have something to put under our belt, something to say that we all have one project.
You said that when you were in school and you were in the 3rd grade and you moved to the 4th grade and you went to Summit View, tell me about that transition. You said that you were high intelligence, but your skills for your reading skills were low.
Right.
What happened in that transition when you went from that school, your junior high or your grade school to Summit View, and how did it change those your reading skills?
When I got to Summit View, they threw all these reading programs at me, and then eventually, comic books helped me to learn how to read. And but all these reading programs that they threw at me, a lot of them did help. And then eventually, because I enjoyed the lessons from my teachers, I was eventually able to find books that I was able to read and liked reading, and over the years, and it was many years that it took me to get to my reading level that I'm at now.
And what level is that?
Well, I'm at the college reading level now.
And how far are you at in college? Where are you at?
I'm at the junior college level right now. I'm just recently got my driver's permit, and that was one of the things that was moving on to the next level of my college career. So, yeah, I have that to look forward to.
How far do you live from your school?
Well, I live about 2 buses away. So, yes.
Sure.
Great.
All right.
Okay, why don't we let the next speaker?
Hello, my name is Dominique Beltran, and I would like to say a few words, actually, about me, personally. First of all, thank you for inviting us and share with us for all your help, but this is the only thing that I know. I'm going to write a speech when I first got it, okay? So let me briefly about what was happening on the agenda. First of all, is this mic on?
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Okay, good. First of all, Toastmasters is supposed to be written on the agenda, but it doesn't say Toastmasters. It only says Toastermasters. So I just want to revise that and bring about the opposite to Toastmasters to Toastmasters. So I just want to get the idea to just of it, okay? So I have a surprise for you. As far as I'm concerned, I'll tell myself right now, but I'm born with autism, and I was with 25 years with my mom, actually. So I had a personal experience with her, and she was great to me. I love her very much. But here's my speech right now. It's called My Comic-Con Experience. Now, this is 2 years before, I guess it was July 2013 when I started this. And this is my presentation for it, so enjoy. Last July of 2013, I went to the wonderful place and the best trip I ever had. Take anybody's guess. No, not Hawaii. Way better than Disneyland.
Comic-Con.
Yes, there you go. My Comic-Con convention in San Diego. conventions on the planet. The press comes here every summer, not just for comic books, but for science fiction movies and TV shows where you possibly find. There's even a cartoon panels at the convention center once in every while. I went to the preview night of this Comic-Con conventions, and I saw the first 10 minutes of every little detail of merchandise, what it's like at Comic-Con on Wednesday night. For example, my sister wears the glasses. The first panel was Futurama. I was sad and thrilled at the same time. Do you know the cartoon of Futurama?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so. The difference is their last panel because of the final season. Why is Futurama's last season? Well, basically, I was sad because of the network's first Comedy Central was canceling their show because of low ratings. But it has some great laughs in between those episodes. But I'm happy about when I saw the last panel of the show. That made me excited and thrilled me through the good and bad times of the show. Next up, I saw the premiere of the latest Arnold Schwarzenegger film, Escape Plan, with Sylvester Stallone. But remember, Comic-Con was in July 18, 2013. Thus, it was the first who got to see them in action. I was in one. So, my first time seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger, that he signed an autograph on my stout ticket. It was awesome. Not like Stallone, who I wasn't surprised about. He was very grumpy and tired. I can understand and relate to these tired celebrities that they didn't know about their life. So the story goes, you win some, and unfortunately, you lose some. It's all a part of the game plan, but I didn't mind it at all. I was patient with Schwarzenegger, but not Sylvester Stallone. Now this is my highlight of the year. When I heard that Alyssa Milano was going to be at Comic-Con on Saturday, I said to myself, my expression was this: shut the front door! When I got there on Saturday, I didn't expect a lot of people who had got in line for Alyssa Milano. All of the tickets were sold out. I was almost saddened that I couldn't go. Luckily, that wasn't the case. I met the guy who gave me that ticket, and he had to see Alyssa Milano in person, who was kind enough to get me there, and that was a Comic-Con miracle that I had in my entire life. I said, bottom to my heart, thank you, you're my heart, you're my best. It was a dream come true when it comes to meeting celebrities that I adore. Now, this is Alyssa Milano. In case of you don't know the celebrity, she was the girl next door in the 80s with Tony Danza, who's the boss. And she also bewitched in the beloved cast-binding show, Charm. I met Alyssa Milano. She was a sweetheart and one of a kind person that I know. That was special at Comic-Con. It was spectacular. Now, in conclusion, if we didn't go to Comic-Con this year, none of this would have been possible to take our trip to San Diego. So as for the tribute, I would like to thank my sister Monique for planning our trip to San Diego once in every 2 years for a wonderful place of Comic-Con at San Diego Convention Center. Thank you, Monique. Well, I hope you're sharing with me as fun as I did. Not sure I'll do it again next year or in the future, but I will. But until then, we'll see what the future might bring for next year's Comic-Con event. I'm Dominique Beltran, reporting from San Diego, California, and I'll leave you with my favorite shows from Comic-Con, The Simpsons. And a quote from comic book guy from The Simpsons. He quoted and he says, "Best Comic-Con experience ever." Good day and thank you. Yeah, that's a Lego Superman if you ask me.
Okay, Dominic, do you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, let's ask
Other
questions.
questions from the audience?
In the audience,
Any
yeah.
questions? Can you tell us
Anybody guess?
Can you tell us what you're doing when you're not at Comic-Con?
Yes. Oh yeah, I put that stuff. Sorry. That was the end. Okay. So when I'm not doing the Comic-Con, I go with Josh with Terror of the Soul People, and basically, he was fun. It was fun doing it over the last year or so. Thank goodness you came with me on the way on my life support, and thank you guys for doing that. Yeah, yeah?
The dogs want you to remember that Comic-Con trip, right?
Yes, I did. One of the best years I had so far. Way better than this year in my book.
Oh, when did you do that again?
2013 and 2014.
Oh, twice in a row.
Yeah, very much.
You want to see the 2014? He has that one.
I don't think we can get that to
Next
detail,
time, next time.
but next time I will. Yeah.
I've heard it's hard to get to go to. What did you have to do to get there?
My sister will explain that for the
Just
question.
talking to another gentleman who asked me the same thing. It is very hard to get into Comic-Con. You have to be, so very quickly, what you have to do is, you have to go on the website.
Can you go to the mic?
Refresh.
Yeah, on the mic.
Wait, so,
You want to switch.
no, but are we
Yeah.
ready? for-
Yeah, actually Monique's our next speaker, so Dominic, if you
Yeah,
want to
that
let
So,
Monique come
yeah,
up.
we're brothers, so we're good on that. So, thank you guys. Second opinion, so
Yeah.
let's
And
do
we'll
that.
let Monique and Evan speak, and then if there's more questions at the end, we'll ask our panelists to stay for questions. Okay, so Monique, you'll come on up, and Clarence can get you set up, or is she okay with the mic
She's
there?
fine.
Okay, great.
Do I have to do this?
Yes.
I feel better walking. Is that,
Yeah.
The
Can I
Can she
hold
take the
microphone is
mic
there.
with her? Can she
Can I
take the
hold
mic?
That's recording separate.
Oh, I know, for your film.
Right.
She may have to walk in the blue.
She
You
experienced
can
the
walk
film.
around with that.
I don't have
You
to.
didn't-
I was just wondering what the options were. If it's better here, I can do that.
Well, if everyone can hear,
Okay.
Yes, you can hear.
we can hear whatever's comfortable for you.
Okay, I can do this. This makes me feel all
But
separate
you
and
do need
distant.
to take that with you.
Okay,
Okay,
I might do this.
okay, all right.
Okay. Should I answer the Comic-Con question first? Or
Yes.
should I do
Sure.
this? Okay, so, hi, my name's Monique. Nice to meet everyone.
My sister's brother.
I'm
Dominic's
my brother.
Sister.
That's okay, bud. So for Comic-Con, what you have to do basically is the Comic-Con has their own website. You go on the website, you make an account with them. And then on the account, you have different options. One of the options is to opt for their newsletters. So opt for their newsletters, and those newsletters will come in. And pay attention to them because those newsletters will notify you when tickets go on sale at a specific date and a specific time. And it'll give you a link. You click on that link only at that time and only on that day, and you get in a virtual line. And you're probably going to be like 1,500 out of 600,000 people. You wait in that line, and if you're lucky, you get through, and then you get to purchase whatever tickets are left. And I say that only because there are over 100,000 people who go to San Diego in the 4-day span of Comic-Con, so it's very competitive. The good news is, once you do get a ticket, the following year, you will get to pre-register for next year's Comic-Con. So the people who get tickets are kind of more fortunate because then the following year, they get to buy tickets before the public does. And then the public gets whatever's left over from the pre-registration. So I hope that clarifies that. Yeah, yes, Mom. I mean, Miss, who I've never seen before.
Never mind.
Never mind, I have no idea who you are.
Yeah, explain also that how you got in was through a raffle, which comes after when you think there's no more options, there's still options.
That's true. So I don't know if they do that anymore, but the last year what they did is they had people sometimes return tickets. They can't go to Comic-Con and they return the tickets. And if there's enough of those return tickets, they do a raffle. So you sign up for the raffle, and then maybe you can get a chance to get in line to buy a ticket. So that's how we were able to get in.
That's
Yeah, it's a big process, but if you have any more questions as to how to do that and make it easier, I'm more than happy to answer.
And also when you
afterwards.
you sign up in multiple computers.
Yes, you don't just use
You
one
don't
computer.
just use one.
No, that's true. When you're in for your virtual line, you want to use 2 or more computers, because you'll get different places. Say one computer will be 1,500, your next computer might be 100.
It's really
So that one's
intense.
gonna go
The
faster.
day that you get that day, that's what you do.
You
That
just
day.
sit.
There's nothing else. There's nothing else. that one day. Just go computer, and everybody that you know, you ask them to go online at that time.
Yeah, that's social.
It is.
So yeah, that's Comic-Con. Burning Man is also the same, which I've been to twice, and I can talk about that too. That's a whole other thing, but it's very similar as far as competitiveness. So anyways, my name is Monique. I am a certified Reiki master. I'm also a digital video editor, working on 2 separate films right now. Let's see. I was diagnosed with dyslexia and pervasive development disorder at a very young age. I went to Frosted for 10 years, and that school changed my life. I think I would be a completely different person if I didn't go to that school. It was just a very loving and nurturing environment, and I know it's changed since I've been there.
Lots.
Lots. No, I know it's changed lots since I've been there. I visited, and the energy's very different. But when I went, it was a very magical place and beautiful, beautiful people. So I honestly didn't prepare anything because I like to improv and I like to think about what happens to me in the moment. And I wanted to talk about vulnerability and what my brothers taught me about vulnerability, and what I've learned in my family dynamic, having my own difficulties in the learning academic world, and Dominic having his difficulties. And you know, a lot of people hear about the struggle of having a sibling who's on the spectrum, but I think very few times we hear about the triumph and the beauty that can come with having someone in your family who's on the spectrum, being on the spectrum yourself. Again, it's one of those things that I think I would be a completely different person if it wasn't for my brother and the lessons that he's taught me. I think I'm a more compassionate being. I think I don't judge others as easily. I don't assume that I know what's going on in their life. I don't assume that they're a mean person. If they say something snarky to me, I realize that they might be having a bad day, or a bad month, or a bad year, or they might be defensive because of some inner turmoil that I have no idea about. And I think I've learned that from getting to know my brother, and knowing that some people do assume that he's one way or another, and that hurts me, and I don't want to do that to anyone else. So there's that. And I've really learned the importance of being honest with my emotions, as hard as that is, and really learning the strength that comes in the form of being vulnerable. As a young girl, I had a difficult time feeling anger, because my brother and my mom, my mom struggled to get to know Dominic and his differences, and she had to tend to him a lot, and I felt very angry about that, and my anger felt like I was betraying my family by being angry at them. It's taken me a really long time to be more comfortable with the fact that it's okay to be angry, and that it's okay to speak my feelings, and Dominic's also learning to speak his feelings, and I think it's such a beautiful gift to hear him express himself, and us have a more better communication with that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else. I'm kind of just rambling, I feel like, now. So if there are questions that could direct my speech, that would be great. And yes.
Just on that thought, when you were angry,
Yeah.
and when you were younger and you were
Yes.
angry,
Yes.
what would have been the best thing for someone to do for you then so that you would have felt a little bit better? What advice would you give your mom now, looking back on that?
Yeah. I mean, my mom did the best that she could in the situation, and she was always there for me as much as she could be, and my brother. I think I'm working on giving myself what I need now, and so can I switch that question to what I would give myself as a young child? Because I think that's what I'm working on
as
now.
a parent,
And as a parent, okay.
what could you give that child
Yeah.
that would make them feel better?
Yeah. So for me, I think it's important to identify where the anger was coming from, and so I think my need for attention and for being able to see the thing I came across and I'm still working on is I felt like my feelings and my emotions weren't worthy of time or weren't important. and that I had to hold my feelings back because my brother had a hard time processing emotions, and he's stride and come so far, and he's doing so much better with like processing sadness and anger and frustration and all these uncomfortable emotions. But when we were younger, it was very difficult. If I felt angry, he would get triggered and he would feel angry, and it made me feel like I was responsible for his well-being. So I think going to my younger self or a parent, just reminding me that, or that child, that they're not responsible for their sibling, that they're a separate person, and that they will feel things that they're allowed to feel, that their emotions are worthy of love, whatever emotion that is, and they're worthy of love, and they're worthy of time. And I think I want to stress that my mom has brought me up with that knowing, and with also the importance of self-love, and knowing that my source of love is not in another person, but it's for myself, and it's when I share that love that makes it abundant, but that it doesn't come from an external source. So I think just loving that child and reminding them that their emotions and their time, that they're worthy of space, and they're worthy of being heard, and they're worthy of being loved in whatever state they're in, and that they're a separate individual, but they're connected through that love that they share with their family. And I know that's a lot to like
Take in.
But yeah. Any other? Yes.
I was just wondering, post-frosting, how old are you now?
Oh, I'm 25. I just turned
25, okay.
25.
And so when you finished frosting, how did you learn your video editing, and how did you proceed with your career?
Yeah, so frosting, it was such a magical place. I actually learned how to do video editing at Frosting. That's where I started there, and I also started at an after-school program my mom took me to and started editing there. So for Frosting, I had to do a final math exam, and so I wasn't very good at math. I don't understand numbers. I still don't understand numbers. They don't make sense to me. But I spoke to the principal, who was amazing, and she said, you can do whatever you want as long as there's math somewhere in it. So I made a music video, and in the background I put math problems that I had no idea what the math problems were. But nonetheless, they accepted it because I was still showing effort, and I was being creative, and I was still learning in this unique way. And so, yeah, I did a music video for my high school project to finish my math. And then from there, I went to Glendale Community College because I heard they had a really good department for people with learning differences. I'm going to say learning differences instead of disability because it's not a disability, it's just a different way of learning. So yeah, they had a really good department, and I studied music video production there. I studied editing there as well. I also took philosophy, and I took guitar. I've been playing guitar for about 11 years now, and all these other classes. And to be honest, I wasn't concerned with my general education classes because I wasn't very academically minded. I was more about being creative and expressing myself and finding things that I was going to succeed by doing things that I loved, and not succeed by doing things that didn't motivate me or move me in any way. So to answer your question, community college is where I learned that, and then from there I just made connections through my friends and my mom's friends and Dominique's friends, people who wanted editors. And to be frank, editing is not something that I love. It's not my passion. I do it because I find people when I like their projects, and so I take them on, and I like the people that I'm working with. And yeah, Reiki is more of my passion. Reiki is what I want to do, and I want to hold space with people and be vulnerable with people, and I think Reiki allows me to do that, so that's my real passion. Reiki? Reiki is an energy healing modality. Reiki is a Japanese word that means life force energy. Basically, it's this theory that all things are energy, and energy connects everyone, and so you can channel that energy through a body to help someone in their healing process. In short, is what it is. And I'm happy to talk about that more later on. Any other? Yes?
Yeah, and what and how did you learn, where did you learn how to get in touch with your feelings and your emotions and deal with them? How did you learn that? And where?
Honestly, years and years of love from my mom, and years of therapy. I've been in therapy most of my life, and I think for me personally, therapy has been that space where I have learned the importance of diving into my emotions. I have learned how to identify my emotions. I think for a long time in my youth, I didn't understand that I was angry most of the time. I didn't know that was what I was feeling. I would have a grumpy face, and people would come up and be like, is everything okay? And I'd be like, yes, everything is fine. But looking back, it was not. I was angry most of the time. And so therapy was really that space to help me identify those feelings and build tools to really be comfortable with the uncomfortable. So,
Do you mind me asking what kind of therapy?
I believe it was cognitive/behavioral therapy. It was the mixture of both. I believe that was the majority of therapy that I had at my age. Yes.
I'm sorry, kind of going back to frosting,
Yes.
being in such a nurturing, supportive environment,
Yes.
and then leaving a place like that to
Yes.
the real world, like Wagnon College and things like that. How, was it difficult, and how was it like? How did you transition out of it?
Yeah, it was very difficult. To go from such a small school of 110 kids and 3 classes per level, elementary to middle school to high school, and then going to community college where it's much bigger than that, was a struggle. Yeah, I mean, Frosty gave me a lot of tools to help me in my learning process, but that transition, there's no comparison between the support of Frosty and the support of the outside world. There's no comparison. I think us as a society, the educational system has a lot of work to do to create that nurturing environment. And so it was, all I can say is that it was a struggle, and then my mom was there to help me through it. And her and I just tried to navigate through the department that they had for people with learning differences and try to find out like what the next step was, step by step, and take it one semester at a time and ask around like, what other people knew and what other resources, so relying on our community. But really just, I think the best thing was like, my mom didn't put any pressure on me to like, you have to stay in school and you have to be successful. I think it was more about finding what brought me joy and finding what I loved doing, and whatever that meant. My mom has always been there to be like, okay, let's find the resources that help you do the thing that you love, and I think that's helped me to be in the success that I am today. Yes, Mom. And then
I think also that you learned an instrument.
yes.
That was really, it was very helpful. Even when the friends were not around, she always had an instrument that
Yes,
she could
that's
pour
true.
herself. And that instrument was key to when school was not providing, and when the pieces were falling apart, it was the glue that kept her passion alive.
Yeah.
And so that was really, besides the therapy, there's been all sorts of therapy. And all modalities of therapy, from sensory integration to music therapy to educational therapy to all the language, speech and language, and not just in school but also outside of school.
I think also, like someone earlier was asking what helped me to tap into my emotions, and yes, therapy like helped me to tap into my emotions, but I think that's a really good point, like having an instrument and finding what I love to do also helped me to tap into my emotions. And playing guitar still is brings me to a very vulnerable state very quickly, and I think that's helped for me to practice leaning into that vulnerable state. So yeah. I'm gonna add her in the back and then I'll get back to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I guess kind of comment, just, because I talked to other parents and as a mom, and I was one to moms. And I know that sometimes we as parents get hung up on the academics, like how are they doing, and, because, our kids go to, if they go to a non-public school, then the curriculum is modified and you're worrying about, it needs to be, you're not doing what other, some other, it's more, maybe more challenges and so forth, but it sounds like from what you said, that nurturing place was really helpful to you. What's important is like developing as the person, not so much the academics, because that's going to come. You're going to continue to learn.
They actually just said it all to say. No, and that's, we're right here. Yeah, exactly. I think what's more important than A's and B's on papers is how I feel inside about myself. And I think love is the best teacher. And I know that's like so cliche, we hear that everywhere, and it's sort of, but I think it's cliche because it's true, and it needs repeating. And so, yeah, I think love is having a loving environment, having teachers who understand. I remember going to Frosting, and there were days where I would go into math class and I would be in tears because I had something going on in my personal high school life. And the teachers would not be like, well, you gotta do work anyway. They would most of the time be like, okay, take 10 minutes outside, calm yourself down, whatever you need. I'm gonna come check on you in 10 minutes and see how you feel. 10 minutes they would come back, how are you doing? Do you need more time? Okay, all right, I'll give you more time. And then whenever I was ready, I would get my work done. But knowing that, just giving a child or any person just that space to be in whatever state they're in, that's really important. And another thing is, for me, I don't want to define my success by external measurements of how smart I am. I want to define my success by how happy I feel about what I'm doing, and that I'm doing things that I want to do, and that's being done in a way that's balanced and I can help other people.
Very mature, enlightened space to be in, I have to just say. Often, support systems bring along a buddy to help you find something. I wanted you to, have you ever had an aide or a buddy? And I'd like you to comment on that. Was that a useful thing or not a useful thing? And how useful was it for you to go solo and fall? And how difficult was that for you, Mom, to see that happen? That's a long question, but
yeah. I also don't want to take up too much space or over my space, so if someone can jump in and let me know when I'm over my time and I get a question.
After this question, why don't you answer this question, then why don't we let Evan speak so she gets her turn, and then if you guys will stay with us, we'll open up the questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So just to answer that quickly, and I can expand on that later with you after. My mom has struggled to have me have help. I'm very resistant to help. It happened, and my mom's nodding her head. From a young age, and I still am, and so in community college we definitely did get an aide, actually several different aides, because I didn't always resonate with that. And that, just to have an aide with me was a struggle. On a personal level, I didn't like having an aide. I felt like I could do things on my own, that I was a very capable person, and I am, and I was. But I think our mentality, or my mom's mentality, correct me if I'm wrong, is that why not have help if it's there? Like, why not have help if it's accessible, and if it makes it a little easier to have someone else there?
Or safer,
take
maybe?
notes.
Safer? Is that never an issue, safety?
Not really. Not really. Okay. Not for me. I think it was more about the fact that I don't do well in lecture environments. I have auditory processing issues, and so anything after 2 hours, I don't understand what's happening and I can't focus. But having someone else there who can take notes and then relay that back to me afterwards, that is something that can be helpful. But in short, it's always been a struggle for me to have an aide for personal reasons and for other reasons. I feel like some aides are very good at their job, and some other aides I know more than they do, because I'm looking for housing, and I've done internet research for hours, and sometimes I have to educate them on how housing works. And I have to tell them, these are the things you're looking out for, these are the keywords you need to put in your Google search, and these are the things that need to pop up, and when they don't, you need to do this. Most of the time they don't, I have to tell them. So that's been a little frustrating. But again, I can speak more to that after. Thank you so much for your time and your questions.